So, to all of my educators out there, I got a question for you. What would you say are the biggest challenges that you face on a day to day basis? That's what me and my special guest are going to unpack in this special episode of the Work to Wellness podcast.
Hey, I need you. Hey.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Jarod Anderson, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Work to Wellness to Wealth podcast, where I help educators and working professionals to increase their financial literacy, decrease their money stress, and multiply their wealth and inner peace. So let me go through my financial disclaimer real quick. Me nor my guest are financial advisors. The information shared in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be taken as financial, investment, or legal advice. Everyone's financial situation is unique, so before making any financial decisions, I would highly recommend you to consult with a licensed professional, a licensed financial professional who can advise you on your individual circumstances. So I'm so excited about my guest tonight, man. I've been trying to get her on here for months now, and it finally worked out that our schedules synced. Her name is Miss Natasha Patterson, and she's a licensed professional counselor. She's a school counselor, and she's also the CEO and founder of the Patterson Wellness Groups. She has her own private practice. And more important than all of that, she is just what you call good people. So I'm so excited about what we're going to share tonight. So without any further ado, let me bring out, Deion Sanders, he like when he holds somebody in high affection, he was just like, yo, that's my dog. Now I'm not calling her no dog, but you understand, like, if she was a dude, I'd be like, yo, this is my dog. But let's bring to the stage Miss Natasha Patterson. Miss Patterson, come on out.
You had me back here cackling.
Listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Like, you are one of the busiest people that I know, and literally, even tonight, you just finished wrapping up some sessions. So I do not take it lightly that you made time to join me and share some nuggets to our listeners. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I am honored. I'm humbled. I appreciate that you even consider the stuff that I talk about as valuable. Thank you.
So you all about the experience what I get to experience on a weekly basis. So just to give you all a little bit of background. So Miss Patterson, she is a counselor at one of the schools that I serve. But one thing that I can say from the first day that I met her, it's evident that she truly cares about kids. And I think that was one of the things that really drew me to her. And she's just, like I said, she's just a really authentic, real person. So I told her for this episode tonight, you see, this is her wind down Tuesday.
And I'm done working, but
So I told her for this episode, I wanted her to have free reins to just be who she is and how she, however she decides to express herself. So, there may be some 4-letter words that get used tonight to convey your point, but it's all good, man, because we just talking.
I even tell my clients I'm a therapist that cusses a little bit. And if you are offended by that, then I might not be the right therapist for you.
And see, y'all, that's what we need. People who are okay with just being who they are. And one thing, she makes no apology about who she is. But yeah, Miss Patterson, so let's go ahead and jump into our conversation tonight. So yeah, so before we jump into that, I want if you could just tell them a little bit about you and your journey to where you are now as an educator. Just a little something. I just want to give them a little context about who you are and where you've come from, and then we'll jump into what we've identified in our personal journeys as educators as 4 big challenges that we sure probably applies to some of you as well. But yeah, so TP, just give us a little background of your journey and how did you get into education? How did you get in private practice? So if you could just run us through that real quick.
Well, I am a first generation natural born citizen. My parents are from Jamaica, so they immigrated here a lot of years ago, but they had the American dream. I'm going to work, I'm going to save my money, make a better life for my kids, and then I'm going to go back home to my country. And so for them, they kind of raised us to be very independent, self sufficient. I need you guys to take advantage of every opportunity that's given to you because we left everything and came here to create this better life for you. So my dad will tell these fictitious stories about how he walked 20 miles to school in the snow with no shoes. It doesn't snow in Jamaica, sir. But he really did only have one pair of shoes. So it was an exaggeration, but it created in me this sense of scarcity. Like I knew that my parents grew up very poor and they were here like really sacrificing everything for me and my siblings. And they would always say, okay, turn off those lights. We don't have money to waste, or you need
Dang,
to
I tell
clean
my son the same thing. But go ahead.
you make sure you clean your plate. And it was, and so me being very sensitive and very conscious of everything, I wanted to make sure that I made my parents' life easier.
Hmm.
So, I tried to cost as little as possible, take up as little space as possible, be as little of a burden as I possibly could. And even though they were trying to instill in me to take up space, to make statements, I think them really emphasizing their impoverished life that they had before had the opposite effect on me.
Man, and Imma just go ahead and say in advance, when you say something that really stirs my soul, I might have to interrupt and cut you off just so I can interject, but you've said so much
Yes.
already. You've hit on all 4 of our areas already probably without even knowing it, but go ahead, continue.
So I knew I wanted to go to college, which wasn't something that my parents could help me navigate. Of course, they were immigrants here. So going to college, they were like, okay, great. I hope you know how you're going to pay for that or what you're going to do. Um, and I didn't. I just kind of stumbled through it. I had a counselor in high school that kind of introduced me to options like secondary education, going to college, just educational, something beyond high school. Right? So I didn't know what I wanted to do. People in high school were talking about the college experience and going to school. And I'm like, I want that. So, back in the day, there wasn't any internet when I was going to school. So it was, you get this, you check out this huge book from the library. Did you do this, Jarod? Like you check out this big book and it's got like all the universities and colleges in there, their address, and you flip through, you figure out which one you want to go to.
Yep.
You print out your application and you write and mail it to the institution. That's what I did. And I
Boy, you
went to college.
bringing back some memories now, man. Because 'cause we've
Yeah,
been in
like
technology for so long, like, you forget that we
I
used
didn't
to.
forget that because it was a tedious process for me because I needed to go to the library and I wrote down all the schools I wanted to go to. And then I applied to all of them. I mailed, got stamps, went to the post office, like all the things. And it was a lot because I didn't have anyone that I could ask, am I
Mm,
doing it right? Okay, so after I get accepted, then what do I do? It was just kind of like I stumbled through every step, but my parents were so proud. Like our baby is going to college. And
wow.
every semester, I ain't know how we exactly were going to pay for it, but I'm like, well, if I stay here, we'll figure it out. And, I accumulated a lot of debt,
Woo! Yeah, we
a
gonna talk
lot
about that.
of
So,
debt.
and I mean, that's such a challenging place because 'cause you're doing it for a good reason, but the reality of having to pay that money back when you're into your working years is almost like, "Dang, did maybe I made the wrong decision." But
Yeah. I mean, it was scary, but not. It's scary in the sense that I'm the first in my family to do it. It was like blazing a new trail.
hmm,
But not when you get that award letter from financial aid and they're like, hey, we're going to give you $7,000 this semester. $7,000. And it only costs $3,000 for the, so the other $4,000 is for me.
been there. Man, I mean,
And who saved what?
new stereo, nicest room on the hall, all of that, man. Like, where you getting this money
I
from?
don't just get ramen. I get to add sausage in my ramen and Cheetos. Let me buy a microwave. I bought a car, I think.
You
It was a lot. It was a lot. By the time I got my specialist degree, I had over $120,000 in student loans.
wow. Ooh, okay.
Now, what I can say, I did get savvy in my years. And so when loan forgiveness became a thing, I jumped on that bandwagon.
Come on
And
now.
I think Joe Biden's last year in office, October 23, 24. I don't know, whenever. That is when all my loan he forgave. Thank you, Joe. Joe, he forgave all $120,000 of my student loans. So I officially have no student loans.
That is worth a hand clap right there. Woo-wee. When we were talking, like four common areas that I think most working professionals, but especially educators, have challenges with is money is number one, and she already touched on that. And from so many different standpoints of money, just either not getting paid enough money or the amount of money that you could be in debt. Number two is just mental health and the pressure and the strain that we as educators experience every day. Mindset, and you talked a little bit about it, and I may want you to go back and revisit how you view and handle money and finances now and some of the decisions that you're making today was influenced by that early mindset where you felt like I don't want to be a burden to my parents. And I know we had a conversation that you said even having money and finances, there's still that hesitations like I don't want to spend it necessarily because you've been kind of taught your whole life. It's just like, don't do that. And then maturing in challenging times. So I just wanted to put those four areas out there. And just however we go through them, we can go through them. But back to my original question. So let's just start off with the money and finance piece. Did you ever feel the weight or the burden of having that much debt? Like, did you ever feel like, man, I don't think I'm gonna ever pay this all off? Like, was that a reality in your mindset as you were pursuing your education and even as you were working as a professional?
I would say yes and no. When growing up, I was very hyper focused on money. I don't think that was my parents' intent. Like, I think that they wanted us to be very conscientious and appreciative of what we had. Like, they
Mm.
grew up in a third world country. So, being here and having like the privilege of first world stuff, they didn't want me to be jaded by that. In turn, I think it traumatized me in a sense. I was super scared to spend on anything. I remember being a kid and my parents would take us back to school shopping and my brothers were like, "I want that. Oh, give me those Jordans right there." And I'd be like, "Just get me those cats. Those are $12, 2 for 24. I'll get that. That's okay. I'll take that." And just not wanting them to spend money on me because I was just worried that they would need to be okay. And when I went to college, it didn't feel like real money because there was no work attached to it. Like, I watched my parents work a lot of hours and come home late, and they would make money. But when I was getting loans for school, it was just like, here's a check for $4,000, your refund check. So I think that because there wasn't work attached to it, I didn't view it as something that I would have to pay back. Not while I was in school anyway. I was just like,
Mm.
I accept. You know, your promissory say note, accept, I accept. And then before I knew it, I was in a lot of debt and not really anything to show for it except my education, which is, I mean, it's valuable, but the amount of excess that I accepted, I could have done without. And I didn't recognize it as a liability until later when it was time to buy a house.
Oh,
And
that's good.
so I graduated and, I'm working as a teacher. And then 6 months later, here comes the letter. Okay, it's time to start paying back your loans. And I'm like, paid.
So in your mind, did you did you kinda just forget about it and you just thought that you would never have to pay it back?
I don't know what I thought. Honestly, I think, in this mind of this 18-year-old that you're giving these thousands of dollars to, I wasn't thinking much of anything, I don't think. And then when I started working as a teacher, working a real job with my whopping, I think at the time, like $35,000 a year.
I got a story to tell you about how much I started off with, but go ahead. I'll tell you my money story after you finish.
I don't know how I made it, but I was like, okay, they want, and back then, like, income-based repayment wasn't a thing yet. So it was like, you're gonna pay this amount every month. And it was a lot. And then I found out you could defer them. Hey, you can defer your loans. I don't know, a friend told me. And you don't even have to have much of a reason. No, I'm just not ready. And so I deferred them for like 10 years, didn't pay my loans. And then I was just working and I saw them on the back burner, and then I was ready to buy a house and they were like, "Oh, well, you've got like 120 something dollars in student." I do?
Had it grown in interest as well? Were they charging you interest on it? So while you're not paying it back, it's steadily increasing.
Yeah. It
Wow.
got so bad that even if I paid what they told me to pay, I wasn't paying the complete interest. So it was still compounding no matter what I paid. And then fortunately, I don't know if it was like during Obama, I don't remember who was president then, but somebody came up with the bright idea that, hey, the government is giving a bunch of mindless teenagers thousands of dollars and they're putting themselves in huge amounts of debt with no way to get out of it. Let's create programs to save them. And so I got on an income based repayment. And because I was an educator, loan forgiveness, public service, something, signed up for all of the things. And that's when my loans became affordable enough for me to pay them back. And so I started making payments on them. And it was hard, but I did it. And then when COVID happened, thank God, you didn't have to pay them anymore. And that's what like took me over the edge from 2020 to 2024. Those 4 years counted as me making payments, even though I didn't have to.
So
And
you
that's what
made
got,
payments even though they told you didn't have to.
I wasn't making payments. I didn't have to, but they credited my account as if I were. That was part of like the COVID initiative.
Wow, okay.
And so for 4 years, from 2020 to 2024, the government paid, they paid it, but they didn't charge me, which is all that mattered.
Hey, that's all that matters.
I didn't have to pay. And then in October, I remember October 2024, I got my little letter. Hold on. I eliminated it.
Boy, that's your place in your heart right there.
That's my student loans. And this is the letter saying, ma'am, all of your loans are forgiven. And on the back, I don't know if you could see this. One loan was for 61,255 and the other one was for 76,896.
Man, listen, y'all, listen,
I keep
listen,
it for forever because it said your balance is now zero. Yep.
listen, listen. Your balance is now 0. So you went from 120,000 odd dollars
I
to
think
0 balance.
yeah, zero.
So look, this is so good. This is so good. Because a lot of times people get in situations and they give up hope or they think that this will never change. So if for nothing else, I want you all to take her story and use it as a source of inspiration, not to give up hope. Because I know when you started and when the reality of all of that debt really hit you, you had no idea that a couple of years from now that it was all going to be forgiven, but you just kind of continued on and you did make some payments. But I just want you all to be encouraged. Like if you find yourself not in the greatest financial situation right now, do what you can with where you are, but don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. And I don't know, people have different spiritual or religious beliefs, man, but man, God can do anything. But it starts with a level of trust and belief. So, man, that's so encouraging.
So let me tell you about the rest of the story with the money and the mindset, right? So 2020, COVID, when I get the letter, hey, everybody's going through this financial turmoil. We're in a pandemic. You don't have to pay on your student loans. We're taking credit for your student loans. Great. So this was like, I think my loan payments were like 700 and something. It was like a car payment. And I was like, great. Okay. So this is something I don't have to pay. And I was like, I need to do something though. Like I need to seize this moment of, I don't know, opportunity. That's what I saw it as. And I was like, I have my LPC, but I've been scared to do anything with it. Fear is paralyzing.
Say that again.
It is paralyzing. I had my LPC since 2018. This is another opportunity for me to make money, and I sat on it for 2 years just because I was scared. I
Scared of
can't
what?
even failing of not making any money, of not doing it right, whatever that means. And so in 2020, when I'm sitting at home with an extra 700 and something dollars, because I don't have to pay my student loans anymore, I'm like, what can I do? Fast, you have a whole license to be a professional counselor. What you mean, what can you do? Start a business. And
Ooh,
so
ooh.
I figured out how to get my LLC,
Say, wait,
how to
wait,
get
wait, 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 wait. Very important point. Very important point. She figured it out. She figured
Google.
it out.
Google.
Had fear, but she figured it out. And so, man, boy, your
It
story
was
just.
Google. I wish I could say I had a mentor that kind of walked me through what starting a small business would look like, but I didn't.
But you figured it out.
I did figure it out. I did figure it out. And I'm the first one in my family to start a small business. Again, another first. And so I was scared. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just like, all right, I know that I got an extra $750 and I don't know how long it's going to last. He might say that we need to start paying them back next month, but this month I have an extra $750. Um, I rented an office space, like Regis has like office spaces in Duluth. During COVID, nobody was leaving their house, so they weren't renting office spaces. So I was able to get it for $400 a month.
Wow. Office space for $400.
Mind you, I can afford it right now, today, because I'm not paying this $750 on my student loans. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do like a short-term lease. I think I did like a 6-month or something. And I was like, okay, I could swing an extra $400 for 6 months and see how it goes. I have the time at home. I built my logo. I built a web page. GoDaddy is the easiest. Someone who has no web building experience. And I built a website.
But I love the fact that you didn't let not knowing be an excuse for you to stay in a place of not knowing. And I talk to people all the time. I encourage people in this day and time, you pretty much got to have a business. You have to have something else that you're doing to help generate some
Yeah.
income.
Yeah. You
Even
need
if
to have
it doesn't
income.
initially, how long was it? How long was the time between when you finally made up your mind that you're going to pursue your private practice to the time where you actually got a client and made a profit?
Good question. So if you were in the school system, remember everything shut down March of 2020. I spent like a month and a half at my house, still paralyzed, drinking because I thought the end of the earth, like the world was coming to an end. So I'm watching CNN and drinking on my couch for a good 4 to 6 weeks. Then after 6 weeks, I was like, okay,
Because we was all at home.
we were all at home. But I think what did it for me is having that burden of my student loans being taken care of. Like that $750 or whatever it was I was paying, like it was killing me. Like I couldn't breathe. But to know that I didn't have to pay it, I'm like, okay, let me find another source of income. So in the event that I have to pay this again, I can swing it easier, but I still have this money to play with. So I was stacking it, like I wasn't spending that money. And so
Let me
6
ask you
weeks,
this. How
March,
did
April,
your
May.
mindset about money change at this point in your life?
Still scared. I'm scared, like scarcity. Like I am, what comes in, I need to hold on to it because I'm afraid of being broke. I'm afraid of not being able to take care of my family. So mid-May is when I decided I'm going to start a business. I saw my first client in August. So June, July, like 3 months. And when I say the clients came, they came. And I'm fortunate that I started a mental health business in the midst of a pandemic. So the business
Ooh.
was booming and they had created all of these law allowances that allowed us to see clients across states. So the parameters that are normally in place and being credentialed in that particular state didn't apply during COVID. So I had clients in California, I had clients in New York. And when I rented the office space, they were just coming with their masks on. And what I thought was going to be hard to have clients, I couldn't keep up.
Okay. Okay. So I need to tap into your licensed therapist hat for a minute. So for that person who's listening to this and they've had thoughts about stepping out and starting a business or beginning that passion project or whatever, but they're dealing with that same fear of what if it doesn't work? What if I don't get any customers? Where's the money going to come from? So to that person who is now where you once were and they're paralyzed in that fear and that self-doubt, what would you say to them having gone through that phase?
Okay. I'm going to tell you, fear is real,
For
right?
sure.
And having courage is not the absence of fear. It's recognizing what your fears are and doing that thing anyway. My daddy always says, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll do something about it. And
Oh,
I,
well, that's a bar. Say that again and slow down.
when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll do something about it.
So
And that's where I was.
is the inference maybe that if I'm not doing anything about my current circumstances, but complaining about it, maybe I haven't gotten sick and tired enough to actually move me into action?
That is
Ooh,
correct. That is correct. Because I'm going to tell you, that student loan payment for my hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, it was kicking my ass like
come on.
month to month. I thank God every day for COVID. For somebody to jump in and say, you know what? I'm going to give you a break. You're not going to have to pay the 700. And that is all I needed. Like to have that weight lifted from me was like, I've got to seize this moment. Like I have to capitalize on this because I don't know when they're going to make me pay it again. What can I do to get my money up so that when I do have to make this payment again, I'm good? Because all I have is me. Like I wasn't married. I didn't have a man who'd be like, baby, I got you. I will pay the rent this month or whatever. But
Okay,
what
I'm
I
gonna filter
can
some
say,
of that
my
because you know.
student loans did not hinder me from purchasing a home. I don't know what, I think it was the Obama era. He had come up with something so that your home loans don't count towards your debt and your student loans don't count towards your debt or something. I don't remember. But I purchased my home with all of my thousands of dollars in student loans.
So it wasn't a perfect situation, but you still figured something out. And you
It was
know,
far from perfect. Like there was no like paved road that says, yes, start your business. But I knew I was tired of feeling like I was underwater, like I was drowning. Feeding the kid, going to the grocery store was a chore because I've got my list of specific items I'm purchasing. I've got my calculator. We're not deviating from anything on this grocery list. Back to school shopping. I hope y'all plan on getting summer jobs because y'all are going to have to contribute to all of that. Christmas, one item each, what you want. That's it. It was just, money was just so tight all the time. And thank God, I've never been in a situation where our lights were out or the kids didn't have food, but money was tight and I didn't want to live that way anymore. Like that was my fear, my greatest fear of why I didn't spend on stuff because I don't want to ever be in a situation where I don't have a roof over my head. I can't feed my kids. And I had to make some moves. So my dad was right. When you get sick and tired of it, you're going to do something about it.
and sometimes it just starts with you're not gonna know how the whole thing is gonna end up, but sometimes you just gotta make a decision. Like, you know
Yeah.
what? I ain't staying here. I'm not gonna stay stuck in this spot. I don't know exactly how, but your story, I don't know exactly how I'm gonna get out, but I'm not gonna stay stuck in this spot. But what's so beautiful, there's so many lessons in your story. You didn't have all the answers, but as you began moving
Didn't have
forward.
any of the answers because I didn't even know what an LLC was till I started Googling it. And they told me you need that to start your business. I was like, oh, okay. Because then I needed to figure out, okay, am I going to be a corporation? Am I going to be a single? Then I had to Google each one of those to figure out what they even meant. Like, it was hours on hours. I was just fortunate that I had the time because everybody was sitting at home.
So let me tell you a little bit of my early stories, my money story. So I got my undergrad in psychology, and right there they told me you ain't gonna make no
Well, you
money
have
with
to
that.
get your master's.
So that was the first conflict. It's just like, man, so it's not enough to just do something you enjoy doing because you ain't gonna make no money. So the reality of the importance of money kind of hit me early. I didn't really believe it then because you're not out there necessarily working trying to get a job. But, sure enough, I graduated. Couldn't find nothing with a psychology degree. So I took a year off
I could have told you that.
and I was blessed enough. My parents took care of the lion's share of my student loan. So I worked 3 jobs for a year to pay off the last couple of thousands that I had on my student loans. And so after that, I went back to school. And my mom's like, all right, you on your own this time. So went back and got my master's degree in social work. So I did my homework. So I was like, I know at least I'm going to start out with $40,000 because, that was entry level. Well, finished my social work, got my master's in social work, got a job at the place where I did my internship at an elementary school. So I was just happy to have a job. I didn't ask no questions about the salary or nothing. I got my first paycheck. To my surprise, it wasn't a 4, it was a 2 and then a 4. $24,000 master's degree. So
What was your position?
a school social worker, but I was in South Carolina. So I can remember I was bringing home about $800 every 2 weeks. I was
Damn
like
it,
you
man.
said, just trying to get above water. That solidified my place below, in my mind, the poverty line. Cause I was like, I can't even get out my mom's house with this. But
Right.
those were the first 2 major lessons
But
that
the desire to get out your mom's house, that falls into mindset, right? It's not hard to shift your mindset if you're already on that trajectory. I'm born into middle class, upper middle class, so there's no shift. I just need to continue the momentum. With Black people, we didn't start developing generational wealth until recently. And
recently.
so we're really digging ourselves out of the mud. And so you have kids who grow up impoverished. All they know is poverty and scarcity. They have to have a complete shift in their mindset. I want better. I deserve better. I need better. Otherwise, they continue that same trajectory as their parents and their
Oh,
grandparents.
that's so good.
So, white people will say, well, I had to work hard for everything I get. Yeah, but not as hard as people who started with nothing. Because you started
Mm,
here. We started here, right? And so that mind shift, it's hard. It's
it
hard
is.
when you don't have anything to work from. You can see something and you're like, oh, I wish I had that. But do you honestly believe that you deserve that you're entitled to that you can have that? That takes teaching and nurturing.
Ooh, that's so
And as a culture, we haven't always had that. We're
yeah.
just now coming into that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Even with educators, just the profession, I hear educators say all the time, well, I ain't gonna make no money in this, or, I didn't get into this for the money, which you didn't, but that doesn't mean that you can't have money. Now, you found another pathway, so I always challenge people like, yeah, the brand for an educator is probably one of the worst that there is and least appreciated professions. Teachers have one of the most important positions, but the most underappreciated. But I always tell them, don't let how other people label your position impact how you see yourself. And that was something I had to learn because I didn't think I could get to a place of being wealthy, even having that conversation, not even being wealthy, but saying, hey, I want to be wealthy. I want to be financially free. I want to be a millionaire. As an educator? Are you serious? And so I had to almost separate myself from that way of thinking. You kind of have to pull yourself out of that group think because otherwise you just stay stuck in that box for your whole life and you just buy the narrative like, well, I can't do anything else. Like, you know, they're not paying me anymore.
And the
But
advanced degrees, this is what I tell anybody every chance that I get. With every advanced degree that you get, be able to get something in something that's going to increase your worth. A bachelor's is in elementary education. I thought I was going to be a kindergarten teacher for forever. And then I always worked in Title I schools. Those are lower income, free and reduced lunch populations. And I found myself doing the work of a school counselor. Like I'm buying coats for my kids and shoes and going to their games on the weekends and supporting the parents. And I'm doing all the things. I'm like, hey, maybe I should go back to school and be a counselor. Did that. And then when I went back and got in counseling, did you know that counselors also work outside of the school, like not connected to education and can make extra money? I would get my
Mm.
EDS in professional counseling. And so it was a way for me to maximize my talents and
Ooh, talk
make
about
money.
that. Wait. You didn't hit on a whole nother area. So you didn't say maximize your degree or your certification. You said to maximize your talent. So talk about that distinction because a lot of people they create their whole life in the box of their degree.
So I believe from the moment we are conceived, not even born, from the moment we are conceived, God has a plan for our lives. He has a purpose for us, right? And our whole life's journey is one discovering what that purpose is and living in it. And once we have fulfilled our purpose according to his will, then we die. That's
Mm.
it. And so right now, I am convinced like there isn't a doubt in my mind that I am living his purpose for me. Have I lived it to his fullest potential? Probably not. I'm still a work in progress. But
As we all are.
I do know that I'm doing what he has called me to do because a lot of this shit I didn't learn in college. I be saying stuff and people be like, wait, Tasha, that was so profound. I don't know where I got that from. I didn't read that out of a book. I don't know. But I'm glad that it was great. I know it wasn't from me. That was from him. And so when you have those moments in your life where you're like, this is not my doing, like I can't take credit for that, then you know that you're living in your purpose. And so you have to monetize what your talents are. We all have a gift. It's different for everyone, but you figure out what you're good at and then figure out how to get paid for that shit. Period.
Come on.
This is not a selling point. Oh, I need to become a therapist. No, because that's not for everybody. Who wants to sit down and listen to other people's problems all day? Nobody but my crazy ass. But there are other things. Maybe you're the best at baking. Maybe you're the best at fixing luxury vehicles. Maybe you're the best at, I don't know, whatever. But whatever it is, figure out how you can start a business and get paid to do that thing. And then do it. And you'll love it because not only are you good at it, that's what you were called to do.
Man, I was listening to Magic Johnson. And, you use your natural gift as a springboard and it'll lead you into other opportunities. But he said he knew after he finished playing basketball, he wanted to be a businessman. And so while he was playing basketball, he made it a point to be in the company of the owners so he could start hearing those conversations and learning those lessons. He took the baseline of what he learned in basketball and applied that into business. And one thing that he said that was so proud, he was just like, man, there's enough for all of us.
It's important to understand that to whom much is given, much is required. So self-discipline is required. And you can't have the mindset of, I've found my niche. I'm going to tap into it. I've started making money. Now I can sit back and chill. There's always going to be work to be done. There's always learning to be done. Like I am a super nerd. Like I listen to audiobooks on the psychology of money and the different therapeutic approaches. Like I'm constantly teaching myself how to be a better version of me and what I do in my craft. And you have to, because that's what's required, because the abundance that God is going to bless you with will come, but it doesn't come without work. And we
Right.
get lazy, we get complacent, and mediocrity will take your winnings from you just as quickly as it gave it to you.
You better say that.
It'll watch his
Listen,
voice.
so we
Profanity.
almost an hour in, so we're gonna get ready to wrap up. But I just wanted you to touch on this real quick because you have a lot of experience in this area as well. But for educators who find themselves in a challenging environment, talk a little bit about maturing
You trying to be
in.
funny. You trying to be funny. You know we don't need to end on this.
You have so much experience in this area, though, Patterson. You are so experienced. I'll set the stage for you. So
Set the
very
stage.
carefully, if I might add, very carefully. But I know my partner here has found herself in some very tight, frustrating situations that just make you want to cuss every day and not ever come back to work. But you know what? She just kept coming back. And I
Not
guess
always, because I did take a sabbatical.
she
I
did.
went
Now
on
that's the mental we didn't even talk about the mental health piece. God, dog, so we're gonna have to
part
do a
2.
part 2. We're
Part
gonna have
2.
to do a part 2. Alright, we're gonna do a part 2 of the mental health part because we need to spend some time there and the
And being
maturing
in a
and
financial position where you can take time off from work when you need to.
see, that's why we gel together like this because she got the mental part and I'm just like, yeah, and you gotta get your money right too. Because you can have all other pieces, but if the money ain't right, you stuck on somebody's job for the rest of your life.
And if you have a mouth like mine, you got to get your finances in order. I did it knowing that if things went left, I had enough money to
Come on,
sustain me a certain period of time. And
boy.
in order to be able to do that, you got to keep your bills low, which means your debt to income ratio needs to be appropriate.
TP, man, tell the people where they can connect with you if they want to partake of some of your services. How can they get in touch with you?
Yes. So you can find out more information about me and the services that I offer as a therapist at pattersonwellnessgroup.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. You can reach both of those other social media platforms from my website, pattersonwellnessgroup.com. You can also schedule a 15-minute free FREE consultation on my website as well. And you will get to speak with me to see if therapy is right for you or if therapy with me is right for you.
Highly recommend that. If you got some stuff going on in your life, get a therapist. And she actually helped convince me to take that step of getting a therapist. And I promise you, the best decision I have ever made. And you know, a lot of
We are getting rid of the stigma that is associated with therapy and mental health. Like, we all have our struggles. Life is
we
hard.
do.
And
Get
having
a
a therapist
therapist.
does not mean that you are psychotic or suffer from mental illness. It just means that you need help navigating this hard stuff.
And just to show you how we got sold on a bad narrative, we're okay with getting help coaching in any other area. You know, health, you know, I'll go to the doctor and need a car fix. I'm gonna go to the mechanic. And sports, I'm gonna get a coach. But when we start talking about this mindset, going to a therapist, oh no, I'm not going to no shrink. There's nothing wrong with me.
Just gonna pray about it. And both things can be
Oh,
true. You can pray about it and you can go to therapy.
okay. And I love therapy, man. I look forward to it, and to have someone that you can just go and share anything with, like
Anything.
anything.
No judgment. Judgment-free zone.
So TP, we're gonna come back and we're gonna do a part 2, and we're gonna deep dive into the mental health and
I'm
maturing.
ready and I will just drink water. Maybe.
You already got us conditioned
Right.
now.
She'll be back.
But listen, thank you so much
Thank you
for
for
taking.
having me.
This was a really, really dope conversation. And as always, I learned a whole lot just sitting, listening to your wisdom. So we're going to have her back and I'm going to have all her information in the show notes. Make sure if you need to get your finances straight, schedule a one-on-one financial wellness consultation with me. You can go to my website at JarodAnderson.com.
You were about to say me, and I'd be like, do not schedule a consultation with me because I can show you how to get
And if
acquired.
you need to get the mental health in line, go to hers. Hey, we need to collaborate on something. The mental health and the financial.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
We need to. All right, y'all. So we'll go on and on, but we're gonna go ahead and shut this thing down. TP, thank you again. Hey, appreciate you all tuning in, and I will see you next week. Later.